Hi, I'm Audrey Chapman. We're talking today about obsessive love. Do you know what obsessive love is? Well, it is usually someone who has deep longing, and they get it all confused with obsessive love. They think that's what it is, and in fact, it's a lot more complicated than that. I have a guest that's going to help us to break it down and understand it better, Dr. Monique Belton, co-author of The Essential Guide to Overcoming Obsessive Love. Dr. Belton is a licensed clinical psychologist. She's here to help us out. We're here at 202-319-7810 or 1-855-288-HURN. That's 202-319-7810 or 1-855-288-4876. Welcome to the show, Dr. Belton.
Yeah, Audrey.
It's great to have you. I reviewed your book, and of course you have many helpful things in it, but the first one that sort of jumped out at me is the quiz that you have, and so I'm going to review it quickly for the callers. You said, ask yourself, do you spend a lot of time wanting someone who is not available, either physically or emotionally? Do you consistently fantasize about someone? Then you said, do you believe that if you try hard enough, the other person will come around or learn to love you? You also said, do you think your love for this person is so great that it will be able to overcome her not wanting you, that she will eventually love you? Now, we know that this can also be replaced, the her with the him. Do you think you are the victim because someone has rejected you or won't agree to what you want? Do you constantly think about the other person so that you lose sleep, don't eat, or miss time at work? Do you believe your life is worthless without this person? Do you think this person is the only person who can make you happy? Do you call this person over and over or spend hours waiting for her to call? Do you go to her place of employment or home without an invitation? Do you send gifts even though she has asked you not to? Do you spend your days wondering what she's doing, who she is with? Do you check up on her to make sure she's where she says she is? And lastly, you said, have you followed her to find out where she's going? If you've answered yes to 2 or 3 of the above questions, then you may be obsessive. Obsessive love is thought processes, behaviors, and is often learned from past experiences. Can you tell us why you said that? That it is thought processes, behaviors, and is learned from past experiences?
Well, often the triggers are our childhood, early abandonment.
Okay.
Sometimes abandonment is actually physical, but it could be a parent with drugs and alcohol that isn't available.
Okay.
And you spend your time longing for your parent's attention.
Right.
You could have a sick sibling, and your parent is devoted to taking them to the hospital, to fixing them. Right. And you feel a need for that attention. And abuse and neglect are also big triggers.
All right. So abuse, neglect, it sounds like are the big ones.
But mostly a childhood where you spend longing to be loved. Right. Longing. Right. For someone to notice you.
Right.
And that the unavailable parent or love object is the one that you spend all your time focusing on, and not the love that is available to you.
So, in fact, fast forwarding into adulthood, you finally identify somebody that can focus on you, even though it's an unhealthy focus and a unhealthy attachment for yourself. You're finally being focused on.
Yes, and one of the tricks is in the beginning, it seems so simple, so clear, and instantly, quote, this is the person. Right. And it doesn't look like there are any problems at all because they care about you.
One of the callers I had earlier, it sounded like she's in such denial about the fact that it was like it was all the other person, and they're the ones that were kind of harassing her and wouldn't let go of her, and she is on top of the situation because she's trying to take care of them and rescue them without any awareness. So it's part of the trigger is the denial that you have a deep need to be wanted and to be loved and to be cared for.
It is. That's one of the tricky things about it is many times you feel it's all the other person.
Right.
And don't understand how much pleasure that you receive from the attention.
Right.
Yes, it could be scary or, quote, it's too much. But if they stop calling or they're not texting you 20 times a day, you're wondering, what's going on? What happened?
Right.
And you usually will trigger them by texting or calling them to find out and restart that cycle because you really need that attention.
Right. All right. So, and you also have in the book, which I think is important to talk about, the stages of healthy relationships. And the stages are romantic love, learning about each other, acceptance of positive and negative qualities in the partner, commitment, and stability. So obsessive love doesn't have those stages?
Obsessive love is usually pretty instantaneous. That fabulous first meeting.
Swept off your feet kind of love.
Absolutely. It looks like the movies. And the movies seem to suggest that is love.
Right.
Where you know immediately. You don't need to know. And one of the things that should worry anyone is when you feel that you know them instantly and you're not acting like they're a stranger.
Right.
You're reacting to something in them that triggers a memory of someone in the past because they are a stranger. And when you don't feel a stranger as a stranger, who are they?
Right.
And if you haven't had a lot of great relationships, either in your childhood or in your adulthood, that's really a warning flag.
Right, right.
And usually it's the one that makes you the most relaxed. Like, oh, I think I've known them all my life.
All your life, right.
And you've known them 2 hours.
Right. It's maybe sometimes a person that some individuals say, oh, they're like a soulmate. We were on this planet before.
And what planet have you lived on so far?
Yeah.
This planet has not been the best of planets.
Right, right.
You need to realize that it's probably the wrong chemistry, not the right chemistry.
Right. All right, well, we're going to take a caller, and you can jump in and help them out at any point if you would like. Welcome to the Audrey Chapman Show. You're on the air.
Good morning, Dr. Chapman and Dr. Beltman. Good morning. Now, my situation is I've been in a 5-month relationship with my friend, and he's been hurt by his ex, which has really traumatized him. And this has caused him to be obsessive as far as with trust issues with me. And if I'm not available to him, he says that he's been rejected. He says abusive things that hurt. And Thursdays is a day that I'm off, and it's usually a bad day because I've been off for years on a Thursday, and I do things that's personal, and I take care of business. But later in the evening, I spend time with him, but it's always an issue. And so I'm thinking he actually admitted that he needs to seek help, but I don't really think that he will follow through with it. And he does definitely admit that he has trust issues, but it's been for the last 4 months out of 5 that we've been really just going through it as far as trust.
And how soon did he end his first relationship that the two of you met and got involved?
Well, he said that it was at least 6 months after.
What do you think about that, Dr. Belton?
I think it's interesting that she said he says.
Right. I do too. I do too. I bet it was less than that.
Not possibly. I'm saying this because he's told me so. I've caught him in lies.
Right.
So that's why I say he says.
Right.
Because I'm not quite sure if I can believe it.
Right. Right. I suspected it was less time than that, and that so basically he's not even over what went on in the last situation, but he tried to handle it by moving on to the next person. And some part of you was attracted to this man that needed rescuing. And I'm not saying that you necessarily were aware of identifying with it that way, but that's what happened. What do you think the situation is, Dr. Belton? And if there are any additional questions you want to ask her, go right ahead.
Well, I'm wondering what she finds so attractive about this wounded man. Why, knowing after the first month he was possessive and a little bit controlling. He had good reason, quote unquote. And I'm not saying it wasn't good reason, but why she feels she pulled in closer rather than slowed it down.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Okay. To be totally honest, the first month, I did not see that. And then he told me later on that about a situation that happened to him.
Right. And you were already connected.
Then I started thinking back to maybe little things that I saw, and I'm like, okay, because in the beginning, it was a couple of things, but very minor. And you try to give a person time, but then I was like, that's why he did that. At first I thought maybe, that's nothing, because he would say something about possibly the way that my dress fitted me. It was attractive and nice, but your behind is a little showing too much. The form of my dress, perhaps.
Right. It was a very positive thing, but then at the end it was a negative.
Yes. Then I realized that he said that he had a problem after I found the other issues. He would always say that's the problem, because his wife was shaped like me. And he said that's the problem.
All right, so we're down to about a minute, so I don't know if...
Can I just tell you one quick thing then? My rule to my clients is you don't know anyone for the first 3 months. You think you do, and the more you think you do, the less you do. Because things show up after 90 days, after 100 days.
I would also add that if he doesn't go and get help, then you get help so that you can figure yourself out and also make a determination as to whether you're going to stay in this or to get help so that you can get yourself out of it. All right?
Okay, more likely, or him together, or myself.
No. The hope is that he goes, but you go anyway, even if he doesn't.
Yes.
All right.
Okay, thank you so much.
All right. Yes, it can feel like love, but be something that may not be good for you or the person that you think you love. It could be that you're obsessed. Dr. Monique Belton and I want to help you out. Give us a call, 202-319-7810 or 1-855-288-4876. This is the Audrey Chapman Show on HUR Voices, Sirius XM Channel 141. Welcome back. This is Audrey Chapman. We're talking today about obsessive love. Do you want to know what obsessive love is? Well, do you think of nothing else besides the relationship, sometimes ignoring other responsibilities? Do you continually worry about your partner's cheating? Do you sometimes accuse her or him of infidelity even without any evidence? You may check up on them throughout the day, driving by their workplace, calling continually. Do you persistently question their commitment to the relationship? You resent any time that person spends with other people and may manipulate them so that they will only spend time with you. If so, you are struggling with obsessive love. To help us out today is Dr. Monique Belton. She's a clinical psychologist. She's also the co-author of Essential Guide to Overcoming Obsessive Love. We're still here to help you out at 202-319-7810 or 1-855-288-4876 if you want to get in on the conversation.